So marijuana,
Yes.
how does that work?
Cannabis actually is the word we prefer to use.
Cannabis?
Yes, that is
Okay.
the appropriate
Terminology.
terminology
So that's
for
is that the
cannabis.
scientific term?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, cannabis. So you are at Steep Hill.
Yep.
And what does Steep Hill do?
Steep Hill is the technology leader in the cannabis testing and analytical space. We maintain the purity, we assure the purity and safety of the cannabis supply.
What is safe cannabis? What does that mean?
Okay, safe cannabis is cannabis that is essentially tested for impurities.
Okay.
Nobody wants to consume cannabis that has mold or pesticides or bacteria.
Because that would essentially be inhaling mold.
That would
right?
exactly be inhaling mold, which is something you don't want to do. And so that's one aspect of safety. Another aspect of safe cannabis is knowing the ingredients. So we test for potency and active ingredients. And as it turns out, there's a wide array of cannabinoids and terpenoids, which are essentially the active ingredients in cannabis, that
are more or less potent?
they interact with the body in different ways. You have receptors. You actually have an endocannabinoid system in your body, which your body actually has cannabinoids that it produces. And so it communicates and causes things to happen inside that with cannabinoids. So when you consume them, those different compounds in different ratios will actually cause different responses in the body and have, either medical effects or, physiological effects and things like that.
What is positive about cannabis?
Right. There's actually a lot of things that are very positive about cannabis. Besides, sort of the obvious things, it relaxes people. It allows them to, deal with stress and issues like that. It also has compounds that are anti-inflammatory. It has compounds that cause, you get hungry, which is great for somebody who might have wasting syndrome or some type of cancer where they can't eat or they're on other medications. So it can work like that.
So there's so many medical benefits, and I think, obviously cannabis, also known as marijuana or pot, has been popularized because of this recreational use. So what would you say to that crew?
To the recreational crew?
The recreational crew.
I think it's great. I think that it should be regulated, and in order to regulate it, you have to legalize it. It has to become something that the government can regulate and not come into conflict with laws, federal laws, things like that. So I think it's I would say go for it, but regulate it, know what's in it, and keep it safe.
So how would you regulate it? How would you regulate something like this? Would you compare it to a cigarette? What would you compare it to?
I would make sure that consumers knew what was in it. I would make sure that we were keeping it pure. I would make sure that there was no diversion into, black markets and things like that. I would make sure that, that it was a positive message and that we were keeping it safe, essentially.
When do you think nationally this will be legalized?
Already over 23 states have some form of medical or recreational laws in place. I'm not sure when the federal government will actually do anything about it. But in California, I would say it's almost a certainty that in 2016, we will legalize, recreational cannabis by a referendum.
Now, Steep Hill does a lot of things as far as testing, and I know you guys are working on some really exciting stuff right now.
Right.
What is the Gen Kit? What are you working on as far as making cannabis safe?
We're a laboratory, but we're also a biotech company.
Okay.
The Gen Kit is a DNA-based diagnostic that allows outdoor cultivators to quickly know the sex of their plant. So in cannabis,
whoa.
Right.
There's different sexes?
There are different sexes.
Is the female like pink leaves or something?
No, but the female is better. In cannabis, you only want females.
I love it.
The males have to be
already.
culled as soon as possible, and the longer they're around, the more, it gets bad.
So it is a female plant.
It is a dioecious plant that has
the
males
female
and female.
is the dominating.
Female is the dominating,
sex.
is the preferable sex.
I love it.
Say.
Let me get this straight. The men have sex with the women and then they're out.
No, you don't let them have sex with the women.
You don't let them have
Once
sex
they
with
have sex with the women are essentially useless
Oh.
in cannabis.
Wait, this is so weird.
Yeah.
What a weird,
It's weird. It is weird.
weird.
So this kit is commercially viable
Okay.
because of that, and it saves people time, it saves them resources, and really it's good for the kind of ethical and environmental side of things because of the resources that it saves, and because people go out of their way, because females are so desirable and males take up a lot of
It's
resources.
true. So true.
Right. So people go out of their way to get females as quickly as possible, and they buy sometimes like genetically altered seeds in a sense
Okay.
that are have a higher likelihood of producing females. So they this sort of eliminates that need and kind of makes it more natural.
I'm like the Valley Girl.
And I'm like David Lampach of Steep Hill.
Is it
Okay.
steep?
It's steep.
The hill?
The hill is
How
steep.
steep is it?
It's really steep.